He loved her more than anything, worked day and night to support her, only to be betrayed, humiliated in front of his whole class, and thrown aside like trash. But when his world crumbled, one mistake changed everything. From heartbreak to live streams, from betrayal to the eyes of millions, this is the story you won't forget. The manga opens with our main protagonist walking through the crowded hallway of his school. Everyone was busy with their own stuff, and as he walked, he was also busy messaging someone. Not only today was special for him, but also he was about to meet someone very special of his after a long time. He smiled, and his heart clearly was already someone's maybe asked. Just a few months ago, he got his first ever girlfriend, and the reason he smiled was because he just thought of her right now. Although Suda seems like a normal high school student, there are still a few family-related problems that he has been dealing with. Money has been a curse for him, and since his father has a mountain of debt, he works very hard to support him, and this time he wished that he would be financially strong enough to retire his father and let him have some delicious food. Despite his plans and efforts to help his father, he also wants the very best for his girlfriend, who he actually loves a lot. He additionally also saved up some money so he could buy her new things for their first summer break. He smiles at the window like a stupid man madly in love, and he slides open the door to his demise. He greets his girlfriend Kasumi, and when he mentions their date, immediately the harsh and cold words that left her mouth crippled his emotion and broke his heart. She asks what date he was talking about. Now, ever since he started dating her, she always had some attitude here and there, but this time it was a little harsher than ever. As two fellow classmates stood near her, she glares at him and lets him know that she would very much like to spend her remaining days in school with her real boyfriend and not some wallet she picked up. She lets him know that her precious summer break will surely not be wasted on a horny ape who glues himself to her. Now this was too much for him, and since there were other people in the class, it just ends up making him a clown for everyone. Her sharp words continued to shower, and it was clear that Suda was in a very toxic and one-sided relationship. She yells at him and adds that he shouldn't have left his job and continued to act as her wallet. Suda for the past month worked hard like never before just to get money for his family and support his girlfriend's expenses. But here his world just flipped upside down. As the class muttered about him, they were obviously making fun of him, and he starts to question his girlfriend, who was still precious to him in his heart. He cried that she shouldn't badmouth and embarrass him in front of everyone. But she was already fed up with him, and since he couldn't fund her stupid expenses, he was useless to her. She lets him know that she never ever was there to date him seriously from the start, and shares that since day one he was a wallet and bad boy for her. Hearing this, his chest ached and his mind was filled with pain. For Kasumi, his work and affection were just nothing to her. The time when he got closer to her and the time they spent together, Suda learns that it was all just lies. She laughs at him for being too invested in her, and he asks why would she reply for his confession in the first place, and with a joking tone she lets him know that she was bored and just wanted to kill some time. She glances at him, and with a cold voice she lets him know that clearly there was always a status difference between them. She adds that she is a daughter of a well-established seiyuu, and from the start, Suda never really had the perfect charm and quality to get any closer to her than he already did. Suda was crushed by these words, and she didn't even care about his image or anything like that. And with a loud voice, she yells at him that he is not tall nor handsome, and since he has no money left, she would like to part ways with him now. She lets everyone know that she is done with this NPC and trash. As everyone around them started to giggle and mock him, he couldn't really form any words. Now, he was still processing everything. But it turned out that his love for her was only one-sided from the start, and he never even came close to her heart, let alone anything else. He smiles like a clown in the middle of everything, and painful thoughts kept circling around him. She approaches him and lets him know that if he becomes an popular hunk or a star, she might shut her nose and accept him as her boyfriend here and there. What she was doing here was she compared him to a top idol of a VTuber. She was secretly working very hard to get popular herself and was inspired by top leading characters. This was also a reason for her dumping. She wanted to be around with people who could help her get popular. And the only way she could do that is by dating the popular VTuber, offering them some of herself and making a name for herself. As he said something about the character, immediately her persona changed and she leans over to him and lets him know that he can't talk down to someone she admires. She started to explain her great plans ahead and shared about her hobbies, which were beyond his reach, and she gets over to her friends, and they began to talk with each other, completely ignoring him and his existence. In anger, he was about to say something, but in the next instant he covers his mouth and she began to push herself on him one more time. She lets him know that from the start she already had another boyfriend, and she lets him know that she is thankful for all the presents he bought her. This girl drained every penny from Suda for the last month. And when he decided to take a break from his jobs, she had the strength to throw him out like a pest, and poor Suda could really not do anything but glare and wonder to himself about the pain and ill feelings. He quietly walks out of the room, and as they laughed, this was a tragic start to our Suda's life. He himself knew that he was a little too worthless to begin with, but he was the happiest when he was with her. As a gloomy atmosphere surrounded him, he was making some food and tried his best to forget all about her attitude and words. He notices ahead of him a video of a popular YouTuber was playing. In today's world, Vermont Ubers are surely the leading earners, cranking thousands of followers and a lot of money and deals. He prepares the food and was about to give it to someone. As a girl was talking loudly, he was about to feed a loud VTuber that he was raising. As a character makes fun of her viewers, she ends the live stream and her chat was going crazy. He listens to these words and slowly he made his way up to the room of this streamer. He calls out to Isuzu, and when she listened to this, she burst into joy, and there we meet a beautiful girl who is actually a VTuber living together at his place. She dashes towards him and she hugs him. This was the troublesome guest that he takes care of, an overly attached, timid girl who screams like a mad dog. As she asks what he made, Isuzu ends up making the biggest mistake of all time. She had thought that the live stream ended, but it was still running. She sits down and teases Suda to feed her. And just listening to these words, the chat was going crazy. This girl is Isuzu, someone close to him that he could consider to be a sister. Since she started a VTuber channel, it blew up, and since that, she hasn't really went to school. Her career as a VTuber has surely spread, and she has made a name for her and is accumulating around 1 million subscribers. On top of everything, she is an introvert and has a terrifying time with strangers. From every angle, she is a perfect example of an idol. She has silver hair, which is pretty different. That is solely because she is half Russian. On the other hand, Suda is just your average plain-looking high school student, and the only thing that makes him somewhat special is that he just got dumped by his girlfriend. He glances at her and shares that they are step-siblings and she has really helped him a lot. Her not going to school actually has made her life a lot easier, and things became out of control when she started to get a little too much attention in school. As he introduced her to us, he notices that the chat was still scrolling. Since he never really understood the live streaming thing, he ignored it. From the back, Isuzu began to call him. As he sits down, they began to talk to each other, and with a teasing tone, she replies to his leftover scheme and tells him to feed her if he wants no leftovers. Ever since they were little, he had unexpectedly spoiled her a little too much, and in this fight he loses. Their private things were all being monitored by thousands of people, and both of them didn't have a single clue. Isuzu rubs her belly and cries out that she is full. And as they began to talk to one another again, she asks him if he watched her latest stream, and with a cold voice, he lets her know that she has been saying a little too harsh things in her streams. As he tells her to cut it out, immediately all the happy and jolly atmosphere leaves them. He shares that people take out their precious time to watch her, and they even donate their hard-earned money. And since they respect and love her stream, she should not talk to them in a harsh tone. He also adds that she should not ignore the comments of people as well. He lets her know that she should always be humble and thank the people watching the content since his voice was firm and strong. Immediately, she pouts and began to explain to him that her character's demeanor is like this, and this is what the viewers want as well. Suda obviously has no idea about the digital world, and in this case, he shares his biggest fear and explains to her that he hates it when antics talk down on her and spread bad things about her with a shaking voice. She also adds that if she stops acting the way the viewers want her to be, then they would just stop watching her. He pats her head, and he replies to her worries by sharing that she doesn't really need to push herself so hard to earn money. Ever since their mother died, they were in a lot of debt. But despite that, Isuzu started to support both Suda and his father. He smiles and lets her know that for her support, they are very thankful. And hearing this, she almost began to tear up. He lets her know that for what she has been doing, it could be enough. She asks him how he would support himself in studies if she stops funding their father's shop, who is helping his studies. He shakes her off and reminds her that he just needs to be a top grader to keep his scholarships. She sulks and reminds him that it is surely a lot of pressure as well. As both brother and sister began to talk to each other, they both have respect for each other and both wanted to be there for each other. Suda was shouldering almost the entire house, and today he gives her a thumbs up and tells her that he is tougher than he looks. She shouts at him this time, and with a confident voice she lets him know that she won't stop no matter what, and she would become someone strong and reliable that her whole family would lean on. As he smiled, it was clear that his sister was really there to support him. He pats her head and he ends up getting a phone call. When he checked, it was none other than his ex-girlfriend who was also watching the stream. He reflected on how she dumped him yesterday and now wants to talk again. Isuzu asked why wouldn't he want to pick it up, and she began to shower him with questions. He replies that he was dumped and shares that it is his ex-girlfriend calling. Hearing this, she was filled with anger and she yelled and asked why would she leave him. He replies that she already had someone else in her life and was just playing around with him. She asks who his girlfriend was, and after getting bombed by questions, he ends up saying her full name in the stream. When she hears this, she said her own stuff, but he had no idea that he just leaked Kasumi's name to the whole nation. He thanks her, but when Isuzu's phone began to ring as well, she checked and her soul leaves her body. She began to mutter that the live stream was on, and when she glanced back, her streaming world was turned upside down. Messages after messages were piling again and again, and people were asking all sorts of stuff about her and her family. He glanced at his phone and saw that his ex-girlfriend was messaging him and asked him why would he want to broadcast her name to the whole country. When they both realized the things they did, there was really not going to be a stop to this. Comments began to trace down Suda, and it was only fair that they would get Isuzu's location as well. And Suda, the boy who only wanted to love and protect his family, now stands at the center of a storm watched by thousands. And as the camera kept rolling, the question hung in the air. Would this be the end of everything, or the beginning of something neither of them could have imagined?